We are now just about 24 hours away from the Super Bowl 57 rematch that we have all been waiting for. I'm super pumped, but before we get to that game, we do have some injury news to get to, along with storylines that should be followed heading into tomorrow's game versus the Philadelphia Eagles. But I'll tell you one thing. If you want the Chiefs to beat the Eagles again, then I want you to like the video. Let's try and get 570 likes for Super Bowl 57, which we know who came home with that trophy. So hit the like button if you're watching right now. Takes 2 seconds. Go down, hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. The Chiefs really appreciate it. And most importantly, we got to get to 570 to help our Chiefs get a win. I mentioned the injury news. Let's dive right into that, as that is the first storyline we are going to follow heading into this game, and it's the major one that, honestly, everybody is talking about. With it coming from a tweet from Aaron Wilson, as the Chiefs have activated Richie James. Now, what exactly does that mean? Richie James has been IR since the Jaguars game in Week 2, but just because he's activated doesn't mean he is guaranteed to play. In fact, he is actually still questionable for tomorrow's game. The surprising factor in all of this, though, it's that Andy Reid didn't expect him to come off. He was asked on Friday in his press conference saying that, and I quote, "I don't believe he will come off IR." Next day, he pops right off IR. Here he is, and he is questionable to go. Now, it was a matter of when, not if, because of his practice window opening up. He was either going to play this week or next week. Chiefs say, hey, we're going to try him out and see if we can get him into this game. Now, the other injury news that is good to report is we have this from Pete Sweeney. Every Chiefs player on the injury report, which included Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon, Richie James, Kadarius Toney, Justin Watson, Drew Tranquill, Justin Reed, L'Jarius Sneed, and Tommy Townsend were spotted on Saturday. And not only that, we got the official injury report just after this tweet. All of them were full participants. So that is very good news because everyone else is available besides Richie James. He is questionable right now, could be available. We don't exactly know for sure, but it's nice to see that everybody who was listed as injured, everybody who's kind of been battling that injury, well, they're ready to go, including Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who missed last week's game, and he had Samaje Perine come in and fill in that role, like Michael Perine. So with that being said, you have a full and healthy Chiefs squad. Eagles squad, which we will talk about in just a minute with their injuries. But who you got in this game? If you think it's the Kansas City Chiefs, then I want you to type KEC in the comment section. If you think it's the Philadelphia Eagles, then type PHI. But we know this chat has to be littered with KCs. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So go down while this YouTube ad break plays and type KC. The new identity of the Chiefs is the second storyline we're going to talk about this. And I am kind of going to reference Adam Teacher in this one. I think he had a great article talking about the Chiefs and how exactly they've always been an offensive-minded team. Well, that's not the case this year. The defense has been absolutely spectacular, and if you compare them to the Eagles' defense, well, there is a clear better defense, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs. They're number 2 in points per game, only sitting behind the Baltimore Ravens. Yards per game, they're number 4, allowing under 300. Yards per play, 4.8. They're number 5 in the entire National Football League. The third down percentage is there. The red zone percentage is the one number that is upwards of 15 in terms of ranking. 54.17 is not exactly what you'd expect, but at the same time, when you look at the other side, you have 18th in points per game. You have 14th in yards per game, 19th in yards per play, 25th in third down percentage, and 26th in red zone percentage. It's very clear the Chiefs have a better defense in this matchup, and overall, they are the favorite in terms of how they have worked this defense around to have a top 5 defense at the end of the season. That has become their new identity. That's how they have played, and the best part about it, well, it makes it to where there's less pressure for Patrick Mahomes, and he has played absolutely incredible, and I'm excited to see what he's got. And if you're excited to see what he's got as well, then go put your entries in on Prize Picks today. Prize Picks is the sponsor of today's Chiefs Report, and it is the reason we're bringing you this video. Going to go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for your first deposit match of up to $100. Now, what is Prize Picks? Well, it's a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game, and with basketball season here, you can put in combo projections. So if you want to do one in the NBA, want to do one in the NFL, you can do that. Here are my entries for tomorrow's game. Isaiah Pacheco, I think he's got the more on rushing yards. I think they're going to have to run the ball. The secondary for the Eagles has been not great, which should open up the running lanes if you can pass it a lot. Sky Moore, listen, I'm expecting a resurgence from him in the second half. I'm going to put my entry on it as well, going Moore with a 16.5 receiving yards. And then I like this one just because it's kind of funny. You have the Kelsey brothers on a rushing and receiving touchdown combo. The odds of Jason Kelsey scoring a touchdown are slim to none. The odds of Travis Kelsey scoring a touchdown are near 90%. So I'm going the Moore and hoping Travis can pull me out. I think he'll get a touchdown in the Super Bowl rematch against his brother. Prize Picks is the #1 daily fantasy sports platform in North America, and it's clear to see why with easy ways to play. Again, all I did was pick more or less on 3 players. You can do it on 2 to 6 players. You pick more or less on their player stat projections, and you can watch the winnings roll in. Again, prizepicks.com/CLNS, and then use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Okay, another storyline to follow. Well, we're going to look at the Eagles' injuries as well because there's someone very important on there. And, well, he's not going to be playing. That'd be their tight end, Dallas Goedert. He is out for tomorrow's game. So the tight end situation for the Eagles looks a little bit timid now as he's been their one-stop guy throughout really the entirety of the past couple of years. The other guy is also, I'm not going to say injured, but I want to mention in the Eagles' injuries, just because I think this is the most important one out of the bunch, is that Jalen Hurts has been struggling with a knee injury. Now, he had the bye week. He actually shed his knee brace, his knee wrap. All of that will be off tomorrow night, but there is still something to be said. He is not 100% healthy. Now, will that matter in this game? Has he played well with that injury? Yes, but I think it's still something to note when your starting quarterback has any sort of injury specification, even if he's been full at practice, even if he is full good to go to play tomorrow night. I still think it's worth noting. And it's interesting to see because this Chiefs defense sacks quarterbacks really, really well, which we'll get into in just a minute in kind of the talk about how this defensive line can really shake up the game. But they could really make some moves because Jalen Hurts may not be as mobile as he usually is. So we've talked about injuries, and I'm going to kind of go through some players that maybe we should be watching and kind of some battles that we should be watching. So I want you to just pick one player for tomorrow's game, and I want you to let me know who you are watching against the Eagles. Is it a Chiefs player? Is it an Eagles player maybe? Maybe you're watching somebody on the opposite side to see how they do. But I want you to get in the comment section and name me somebody you're watching to really hopefully come in and perform for the Chiefs or not perform for the Eagles. Let's go to our 4th storyline to follow, which is offensive struggles. I say that with a grain of salt because at the same time that you can kind of motion that this offense has been struggling, they have been doing okay. Now, I will digress and say that this is a big test for the offense. There's no way to slice it or dice it. And I'm not going to say that it's a big test because the Eagles' defense is great or the Eagles are good at stopping the Chiefs. No, it's more or less that this Eagles offense is good and you're going to get compared to them. Just like in the Miami Dolphins game, the Chiefs offense looked better in the first half, but you've got another solid offense here coming in from the NFC. And honestly, I continue to say it, this Chiefs offense is underranked for what they're doing. Now, are they like top 5? No. But are they definitely being like, oh, they're like not top 15? That's complete and utter crap. They're not that bad. It's just when you compare this team to previous Chiefs teams and how their offense works, that's where things can start to get a little hairy. 13th in points per game compared to 3 for the Eagles. Again, though, it was #1 in points per game for the Dolphins and number 12 for the Chiefs at the time they played, and we saw who won that game. It's just going to be a big test because the third down percentage has been good for the Chiefs, along with the Eagles. They're #1 in the NFL. Chiefs are #4. Red zone percentage, I think, may be the nitty-gritty of this game. Whoever can consistently get into the red zone and score, that's where you may end up winning or losing this game. That's with a neck and neck. 13%, number 13 for the Chiefs at 54.55 percentage and 55.56, literally 0.01 separating these two in red zone percentage. But the Eagles have the edge. That one could be a main factor to watch on how the Chiefs score in the red zone. I've kind of talked about players to watch and battles to watch. Well, here's the main one that I think is going to be the biggest one. It's the trench battle. And I'm not talking about just the Chiefs' offensive line versus the Eagles' offensive or defensive line. I'm not talking about just the Eagles' offensive line versus the Chiefs' defensive line. I'm talking about just the entirety of kind of controlling the offense. And yes, that does start with the line, but I think that's where the Chiefs are favored. If you kind of look at some of the key numbers with this Kansas City Chiefs squad, they're actually given up only 12 sacks in 9 games. It's number 1 in ESPN, and they're also number 1 in ESPN's pass block win ratio. Basically, all that means is that the Chiefs are really good at blocking off the ball. Has there been times where kind of Patrick Mahomes has had to extend the play? Yes, but at the same time, the offensive line can allow him to do that. Now, on the defensive side, well, guess what? Chiefs, they're pretty dang good. Now, there's a lot of people saying, oh, well, y'all don't have the big names. Y'all have Chris Jones and George Karlaftis. They're great, but defensive line, there's nobody like great, right? Well, they're 4th in QB hits, 2nd in sacks, 6th in hurries. People are very much underranking Mike Dana and Derek Nottie. Those 2 guys have been incredible this year, and I think they will continue in this upcoming game. And it's specifically because offensive lines are having to double up Chris Jones. They're having to double up George Karlaftis. And that's opening up holes for Dana, for Nottie. They've been great. I expect that to continue in this upcoming week. And before I kind of move on here, the trench battles, I want to talk about one last thing in today's video. Watch out for these Kansas City Chiefs receivers. You may think I'm crazy, but it almost feels like that Germany game reset. Now, was it an amazing game? No, not by any sense. But could you tell the confidence was there? Yes. And with confidence comes productivity. I can feel that this offense is starting to come out. I can feel them starting to kind of find their groove, and specifically, that's the receivers. Sky Moore looks more comfortable than ever. Didn't have a single drop in Germany. I mean, that should be the expected thing, but listen, drops have been the problem, and this wide receiver squad has done a lot of them. In fact, they are number 1 in the NFL in drops. But Kadarius Toney, we'll see how much he'll be used given his injury issues and just the way he's been used all year. MVS and Sky Moore both looked better in the Germany game. Rasheed Rice, he's got to continue to kind of improve upon the weeks that he's had. And then you could have Richie James back, McCole Hardman, Justin Watson, a lot of guys that you could be watching here on this Chiefs wide receiver team. I think that begs the question of, I have confidence in them, but do you? I want you to scale your confidence level in this Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver room from 1 to 10. If you're very confident, it's 10. If you think I'm delusional and that the wide receivers are not even close, and you saw that wide receivers coach his press conference where it wasn't exactly the most confident thing, well, then that's a 1. Listen, wide receivers coach being not confident or not, I'm looking at the players and I'm looking at the way they've played this game and the way they look on the field and on the practice field. I think they look better than they have all year. We'll see if they come out, though, because they may make me look stupid tomorrow night. But either way, if I look stupid, if I look smart, I hope the Chiefs win, and I hope you join us for our live watch party. Chiefs versus Eagles. Monday Night Football. Kelsey brothers battle each other. Super Bowl 57 rematch. There is a ton of storylines. I mentioned just 5. Well, there's a lot more, and we're going to talk about all of them tomorrow. So make sure you join us. We're going to be live probably an hour beforehand, and it's going to be around the 6:15, 6:30 area. So join us. Turn on notifications right now if you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, well, subscribe today, and then turn on those notifications. You'll get an alert 30 minutes before we go live. That way you're there right on time. You know what to watch for. You know the injuries. You know everything that's going on. You know if Richie James is going to play. With that being said, we appreciate you watching today's video, and if you made it to the end of the video, I want you to comment real one. This is a special thing. I know I don't do this too often, but comment real one. I'm going to be responding and loving anybody who types real one. Peace out, Chiefs Kingdom.